The thunder shook the walls of Hyun-sik's small clinic. Rain pounded against the metal roof like angry fists. He looked up from his medical supplies and frowned. This was the worst storm New Horizon had seen in months. Lightning flashed outside, lighting up his small office for a moment. Hyun-sik went back to counting medicine bottles. Living on the edge of the colony meant he had to be careful with every pill and bandage. The supply ships only came once a month. Another flash of lightning. Then he heard it, a soft thud against his front door. Hyun-sik stopped counting. He listened hard. The rain was loud, but he was sure he heard something. Maybe a tree branch fell against the door, or maybe an animal was trying to get out of the storm. He waited. Nothing. Then he heard it again. This time it sounded like scratching. Weak scratching. Hyun-sik grabbed his flashlight and walked to the door. He pressed his ear against the metal. The scratching came again. It was very soft, almost gone. "Hello?" he called out. "Is someone there?" "No." Answer. Just rain and thunder. Hyun-sik opened the door slowly. Rain hit his face right away. He pointed his flashlight down. His heart stopped. A small figure lay on his doorstep. It was curled up like a hurt animal. The person was soaked from the rain. Long dark hair covered most of their face, but Hyun-sik could see enough to know this was not human. The skin was pale blue-gray. The hands had only 4 fingers, and there were small marks on the neck that looked like gills. An alien. Hyun-sik had seen aliens before. New Horizon was a trading post, but he had never seen one like this. And he had never seen one hurt this badly. The alien was a female. She was very thin. Too thin. Dark blood mixed with rainwater around her body. Hyun-sik could see burn marks on her arms and legs. Someone had hurt her with energy weapons. She was barely breathing. Hyun-sik's medical training took over. He did not think about danger. He did not think about who she was or where she came from. He only saw someone who needed help. "Easy now," he said softly. He knelt down in the rain. "I'm going to help you." The alien's eyes opened. They were large and silver like mirrors. When she saw Hyun-sik, fear filled those silver eyes. She tried to move away from him, but she was too weak. She only managed to raise one shaking hand. "No," she whispered. Her voice was like music, even through the pain. "Please, no more." "I'm not going to hurt you," Hyun-sik said. He kept his voice calm and quiet. "I'm a doctor, a healer. Do you understand?" She stared at him. Rain ran down her face. She was shaking from cold and fear. Hyun-sik slowly reached out his hand. "Let me help you. You're hurt." The alien flinched when his hand came near, but she was too weak to run. Hyun-sik gently touched her shoulder. She closed her eyes tight like she was waiting for pain. Instead, Hyun-sik carefully lifted her up. She weighed almost nothing. He carried her inside his clinic and set her down on the medical bed. She kept her eyes closed the whole time. Under the bright lights, Hyun-sik could see how badly hurt she was. The energy weapon burns were deep. Some were infected. There were old scars, too. Many old scars. Someone had been hurting her for a long time. But worse than the physical wounds were the metal things in her skin. Small devices were buried in her arms and neck. Tracking chips. Slave markers. Hyun-sik's jaw got tight. He knew what those were. He had seen them before on escaped slaves who made it to the outer colonies. This girl had been someone's property. The alien opened her eyes and looked around the room. When she saw the medical equipment, she started to shake again. "Shh," Hyun-sik said. "This is a healing place. No one will hurt you here." He moved slowly, showing her each tool before he used it. First, he cleaned the rain from her face with a soft cloth. Then he checked her breathing and heartbeat. Everything he did gently. The alien watched his every move. Her silver eyes followed his hands. She was ready to run or fight, even though she could barely move. Hyun-sik started cleaning her wounds. The alien made small sounds of pain, but she did not try to stop him. Maybe she understood he was trying to help. Or maybe she was just too tired to fight anymore. As he worked, Hyun-sik talked to her in a quiet voice. "My name is Hyun-sik. I run this clinic. You're safe here. I know you don't understand all my words, but I promise you're safe." The alien's eyes got less afraid as time passed. When Hyun-sik smiled at her, she looked confused, like she had never seen a kind smile before. "You need surgery," Hyun-sik told her. He pointed to the tracking devices. "These have to come out, and some of your wounds are very deep." The alien did not understand his words, but she seemed to understand his meaning. She nodded slowly. Hyun-sik prepared his surgery tools. As he did, he heard vehicles outside. Big vehicles, moving fast through the storm. His blood went cold. Slavers. They were looking for her. The alien heard the engines too. Terror filled her, silver eyes. She tried to sit up, tried to run, but her body would not work. "No," she whispered. "Please. Not back. Please." Hyun-sik looked at the door, then at the frightened alien on his table. He thought about the tracking devices in her skin. He thought about the old scars. He thought about the fear in her eyes. Then he thought about his oath as a doctor. To help. To heal. To protect. The engines got louder. Hyun-sik made his choice. He grabbed a signal blocker from his emergency kit and placed it around the alien's neck. The tracking devices went quiet. "I won't let them take you," he said firmly. "You're under medical protection now." The alien stared at him. For the first time, something other than fear showed in her silver eyes. Hope. The engine stopped outside. Heavy boots walked toward the clinic door. Hyun-sik quickly covered the alien with a medical sheet and turned off the bright surgery lights. Loud knocking shook the door. "Open up," a rough voice shouted. "Colony security." Hyun-sik walked to the door slowly. He took a deep breath and opened it. 3 men in dark uniforms stood outside. They were not colony security. Hyun-sik could tell from their weapons and their mean faces. These were slavers. "We're looking for stolen property," the biggest man said. He had scars on his face and cold eyes. A female alien, blue skin, about this tall. He held up his hand. "I haven't seen anyone like that," Hyun-sik said. He kept his voice calm. "It's been quiet here all night." The scarred man stepped closer. "Our scanners picked up her tracking signal. It came from this area." "Your scanners might be broken from the storm," Hyun-sik said. "Lightning can mess up electronics." The man stared at Hyun-sik for a long moment. "Mind if we look around?" "Actually, I do mind." Hyun-sik stood straight. "This is a medical facility. Patient privacy laws protect anyone inside. Unless you have a proper warrant, you need to leave." The slavers looked angry, but they also looked uncertain. Colony law was complicated, and killing a human doctor would bring too much attention. "If you see anything," the scarred man said slowly, "you call us. There's a big reward for that alien. She's valuable property." "I'll keep that in mind," Hyun-sik lied. The slavers got back in their vehicles and drove away, but Hyun-sik knew they would be watching. They would come back. He locked the door and went back to the alien. She was awake, listening to everything. When the engines faded away, she started crying. Not loud crying, just quiet tears running down her blue-gray cheeks. "They're gone," Hyun-sik said softly. "You're safe." The alien looked at him with those silver eyes. She spoke in her own language. The words sounded like singing, even when she was sad. Hyun-sik did not understand the words, but he understood her meaning. She was asking why he helped her. "Because it was right," he said. "Because you needed help." Over the next few days, Hyun-sik worked to heal the alien's wounds. He removed the tracking devices with careful surgery. Each time he cut one out, she seemed to get a little less afraid. He gave her a small room next to his office. It had a soft bed and a window that looked out at the forest. He put a lock on the inside of the door so she could feel safe. The alien slept most of the first week. Her body was healing from years of abuse. When she was awake, she watched Hyun-sik work. She never tried to leave the room when other people came to the clinic. Slowly, she started to trust him. It began with small things. She would eat the food he brought her. She would let him check her wounds without flinching. When he smiled at her, she would almost smile back. Hyun-sik started learning her language. He bought language books from passing traders. He listened to her speak and tried to copy the musical sounds. His attempts made her laugh. It was the first time he heard her laugh. The sound was like silver bells. "A-Ra," she said one day, pointing. To herself. "A-Ra," Hyun-sik repeated. "That's your name?" She nodded. Then she pointed to him and raised her eyebrows. "Hyun-sik," he said. "Hyun-sik," she said carefully. Her accent made it sound different but beautiful. Each day, they shared more words. A-Ra learned human language much faster than Hyun-sik learned hers. She was very smart. She picked up medical terms by watching him work. "What is?" she would ask, pointing to different tools. "Bandage," he would say, or medicine, or scanner. She remembered everything. One day, an old farmer came in with a broken arm. A-Ra watched from her doorway as Hyun-sik set the bone. The farmer was scared and in pain. He kept moving around on the table. A-Ra stepped into the room. She walked slowly to the farmer. Then she put her hand gently on his forehead. The farmer's eyes went wide. Then his face got calm. His breathing slowed down. The pain seemed to leave his body. "What did you do?" Hyun-sik asked. "Help him feel better," A-Ra said in broken human words. "My people, we feel what others feel. We can share calm." "You're empathic," Hyun-sik said. "You can sense emotions." A-Ra nodded. "Is gift, but slavers, they not like. They say it make me weak." "It doesn't make you weak," Hyun-sik said firmly. "It makes you special. It makes you a healer." From that day on, A-Ra helped with patients. She could not do surgery or give medicine, but she could calm scared children. She could ease the pain of dying people. She could make the clinic feel like a place of peace. Other colonists started to notice her. At first, they were suspicious. Aliens were rare in the outer settlements, but A-Ra's gentle nature won them over. She helped their children feel brave during shots. She sat with their sick relatives. One evening, as they cleaned the clinic together, A-Ra told Hyun-sik about her people. "We were traders," she said. Her human words were much better now. "We traveled between stars, selling beautiful things. Art, music, stories, we never hurt anyone." "What happened?" Hyun-sik asked. A-Ra's silver eyes got sad. "Raiders came. They had big ships and many weapons. They said we were weak. They said we would make good slaves because we feel others' pain." She touched her chest. "They killed many. Took the rest." "How long were you with them?" 3 years. She looked at her hands. "They tried to break my spirit, make me forget my people, make me think I was just property." Hyun-sik stopped cleaning. He looked at this brave young woman who had survived so much. "But they didn't break you?" A-Ra smiled. It was a real smile this time. "No, they could hurt my body, but they could not touch what is inside." She pointed to her heart. "My people live here, and now I have hope again." "Why?" Hyun-sik asked. A-Ra looked at him with those bright silver eyes. "Because you showed me that not all people are cruel. Some are kind. Some keep promises. Some protect the weak." That night, Hyun-sik realized something had changed. A-Ra was not just a patient anymore. She was becoming something more. A partner, a friend, and maybe something even deeper. 2 months after A-Ra came to the clinic, the sickness started. It began with old man Kim. He came in with a fever and strange red spots on his skin. Hyun-sik gave him medicine and sent him home to rest. But the next day, Kim's daughter brought her children. They had the same fever. The same red spots. By the end of the week, 20 people were sick. "This is not normal," A-Ra said. She stood next to Hyun-sik as he looked at test results. Her human words were very good now. Something is wrong with this sickness. Hyun-sik nodded. He was worried. The medicine that should work was not helping. People were getting sicker instead of better, and the sickness was spreading fast. I need to contact the main colony, he said. They need to send help, but when he tried to call, the communication system was down. The storm from 2 months ago had damaged many things. Repair crews were busy with more important systems first. They were on their own. More people came every day. Farmers, shop owners, children. The small clinic was soon full of sick people. Hyun-sik worked day and night, but it was not enough. Ara helped as much as she could. She could not give medicine or do surgery, but her empathic abilities were very useful. She could tell when someone was getting worse before their body showed signs. She could sense when children were scared and comfort them. This man, she said, pointing to a farmer sleeping in the corner. His sickness is growing stronger, but he does not know yet. Hyun-sik checked the farmer. Ara was right. The man's temperature was starting to rise. His breathing was getting shallow. How do you know? Hyun-sik asked. I feel what he feels, Ara explained. The sickness has a feeling, like darkness growing inside. I can sense it before the body shows it. This was important. If Ara could detect the sickness early, they could treat people faster, maybe save more lives. They worked together like a team. Ara would check each patient with her empathic sense. She would tell Hyun-sik who needed help first. Then she would comfort the scared families while he worked. But the sickness kept spreading. Soon, half the settlement was sick. People were dying. Hyun-sik had been awake for 3 days straight. His hand shook as he mixed medicine. His eyes burned from tiredness. But he could not stop. Too many people needed help. You need to rest, Ara said. She put a gentle hand on his arm. I can't, Hyun-sik said. If I stop, people will die. If you collapse, more people will die, Ara said firmly. Please, sleep for a few hours. I will watch the patients. Hyun-sik wanted to argue, but he was so tired he could barely stand. Just 2 hours, he said. He lay down on a small bed in his office. Ara covered him with a blanket. Hyun-sik meant to sleep for 2 hours. Instead, he slept for 10. When he woke up, he felt terrible. Not just tired, sick. His head hurt. His skin was hot. When he looked in the mirror, he saw red spots on his face. He had caught the plague. Ara found him trying to get dressed for work. She took one look at him and pushed him back onto the bed. No, she said. You are sick now. You need to rest. But the patients, Hyun-sik tried to sit up. The room spun around him. I will take care of them, Ara said. You don't know how, Hyun-sik said weakly. I have been watching you for months, Ara said. I know which medicines to give. I know how to clean wounds. I know how to check temperatures. She smiled at him. You taught me well. For the next 3 days, Ara ran the clinic by herself. She gave medicine to the sick. She changed bandages. She held the hands of people who were dying, and she used her empathic abilities to keep everyone calm. But Hyun-sik got worse. The fever made him see things that were not there. He called out in his sleep. Sometimes he thought he was back in the military, treating wounded soldiers. Ara never left his side when she was not helping patients. She put cool cloths on his forehead. She made him drink water, and she used her empathic abilities to share her strength with him. On the 4th day, Hyun-sik's heart almost stopped. Ara felt it happen through her empathic connection. She worked frantically to save him. She gave him emergency medicine. She used an electric shock device to restart his heart. But the human medicine was not enough. So Ara did something she had never done before. She used her people's ancient healing ways. She placed her hands on Hyun-sik's chest and opened her mind completely. She felt all of his pain, all of his sickness. Then she took that pain into herself and sent him her own life energy. It was dangerous. If she gave too much, they would both die. But if she gave too little, Hyun-sik would die alone. Aira found the balance. She felt the sickness fighting inside Hyun-sik's body. She helped his immune system fight back. She stayed connected to him, for hours sharing her strength. Finally, Hyun-sik's fever broke. His breathing got steady. The red spots began to fade. Aira collapsed from exhaustion, but she was smiling. He would live. When Hyun-sik woke up, he found Aira sleeping in a chair next to his bed. Her face was pale. Her hands were cold. She had given so much of herself to save him. Aira, he whispered. She opened her silver eyes and smiled. You are better. What did you do? He asked. What you did for me, she said simply. I saved your life. That was when Hyun-sik realized how much she meant to him. She was not just a patient he had helped. She was not just a friend. She was the person who completed him. But their moment was interrupted by the sound of vehicles outside. The same engines they had heard months ago. The slavers were back. This time they came with official papers. Legal documents that said Aira was property. Documents that said they had the right to take her. And this time, they brought soldiers from the main colony to enforce the law. Hyun-sik was still weak from the plague. Aira was exhausted from healing him. And now their worst nightmare was coming true. The slavers were going to take her away. The scarred slaver from before walked into the clinic. This time he had 5 armed men with him. 2 wore colonial military uniforms. They looked uncomfortable, but they carried official papers. Dr. Lee, the slaver said with a cold smile. We meet again. Hyun-sik stood up slowly. He was still weak from the plague, but he tried not to show it. Aira moved closer to him. Her silver eyes were full of fear, but she stood straight and proud. What do you want? Hyun-sik asked. The slaver held up the papers. Legal ownership, documents. This alien belongs to the Keth Corporation. We have the right to take our property back. One of the colonial soldiers stepped forward. He looked young and nervous. Dr. Lee, I'm sorry, but these papers look real. We have to follow the law. Hyun-sik took the papers and read them quickly. They did look official. They had stamps and signatures, but something felt wrong. These documents say she was legally purchased, Hyun-sik said. But from who? Who sold? Her people? Does it matter? The slaver asked. She's property. Property must be returned to its owners. It matters a lot, said a new voice. Everyone turned. Old man Kim stood in the doorway. Behind him were 20 other colonists. All people who had been sick with the plague. All people that Aira had helped save. This alien is not property, Kim said firmly. She's a healer. She saved our lives. The young soldier looked confused. Sir, the law says many things, Kim interrupted. But it also says that anyone who serves the colony with honor can claim citizenship. She earned that right when she saved us from the plague. More. Colonists crowded into the clinic. They filled the small space. Parents holding children that Aira had comforted. Farmers whose wounds she had helped heal. Old people who remembered her gentle touch during their sickness. She stays, said Mrs. Park, the baker. She's one of us now. The slaver's face got red with anger. You people don't understand. We have legal documents. We have soldiers. You can't stop us. Actually, Hyun-sik said, still reading the papers, I think we can. He had found what was bothering him about the documents. Hidden in the small print was something important. These papers say Aira was purchased from the Veltari Trade Council, Hyun-sik said. But the Veltari were never part of any trade council. They were independent traders. These documents are fake. The slaver's confident smile faded. That's impossible. Our legal team checked everything. Your legal team lied to you, Hyun-sik said. Or maybe you lied to them. Either way, these papers are worthless. The young soldier took the documents and looked at them more carefully. His face went pale. Sir, these do look suspicious. The registration numbers don't match our database. More than that, Kim said, pulling out his communication device. I just contacted the main colony. The Veltari attack was illegal under galactic law. Anyone enslaved in that attack was taken illegally. That makes these slavers criminals. Now both soldiers looked very unhappy. They did not want to help criminals. They slowly moved away from the slavers. The scarred slaver realized he was losing. His hand moved toward his weapon. Legal or not, she's coming with us. We've invested too much to walk away empty-handed. But before he could draw his gun, every colonist in the room stepped forward. They might not have been soldiers, but there were many of them. And they were protecting someone they cared about. You'll have to go through all of us, Kim said quietly. The slaver looked around the room. 20 angry colonists, 2 soldiers who were no longer on his side, and 1 very determined human doctor. He was outnumbered and outmatched. This isn't over, the slaver said. But he was already backing toward the door. His men followed him quickly. Yes, it is, Hyun-sik said. And if you come back, we'll have real colonial security waiting for you. The slavers left. The soldiers stayed long enough to take statements and promise that official charges would be filed. Then they left too. The colonists celebrated for a while. They hugged Ara and thanked her again for saving their families. But eventually, they went home. They had work to do and lives to live. Finally, Hyun-sik and Ara were alone. You're free, Hyun-sik said softly. Really free. You can go anywhere you want now. Find other survivors from your people. Start a new life somewhere safe. Ara looked at him with those bright silver eyes. Where do you think I want to go? I don't know, Hyun-sik said. Where? Here, she said simply. With you. Ara, you don't owe me anything. You don't have to stay just because I helped you. She stepped closer to him. In my culture, we have something called a life bond. It is not about owing someone. It is about choosing someone, choosing to share your life with them completely. What does that mean? Hyun-sik asked. It means I choose you, Ara said. Not because you saved me, not because I am grateful, but because you are good, because you care about others. Because when I am with you, I feel complete. She took his hands in hers. I pledge my heart to you, Hyun-sik. Not as a slave to a master, but as a partner to a partner, as an equal to an equal. Hyun-sik felt tears in his eyes. Are you sure? There are other options. Better options. There are no better options, Ara said firmly. There is only you. There is only us. Hyun-sik pulled her close and held her tight. Then yes. Yes to everything. Yes to partnership. Yes to life together. Yes to whatever comes next. 6 months later, they opened the first interspecies medical center on New Horizon. Humans and aliens worked together to heal the sick and help the hurt. Ara's empathic abilities made her the best diagnostic specialist in the sector. Hyun-sik's surgical skills saved lives every day. But more than that, they proved something important. They proved that different species could work together. They proved that kindness was stronger than hate. They proved that choosing to help someone could change everything. In the evenings, when the clinic was quiet, they would sit together and plan for the future. They talked about expanding the clinic, about training other healers, about building bridges between worlds. Do you ever regret staying? Hyun-sik asked one night. Ara smiled and touched his face gently. Never. This is where I belong. With you. Forever. And in that small clinic on the edge of human space, 2 hearts beat as one.